welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at digital governance, specifically how it's playing out in India.
Right.
You've given us a great set of sources. We've got case studies, your own notes on the concepts and models, even the technical stuff like data warehousing, and some real-world examples of Indian e-governance project.
Absolutely. It's a really dynamic area.
So our mission today is to unpack all of that, right? We want to get a clear picture of how technology is reshaping governance in India, the good, the bad, the progress, and, well, the hurdles that are still there.
Exactly. The potential is huge transforming public services, but the challenges are equally significant. We need to understand both sides. And we'll definitely dig into the role of data and how the government and citizens are, interacting through these new digital ways.
Okay, perfect. So let's start with the basics. When we say governance in this context, what are we really talking about, and what makes it good governance?
Sure. So governance at its core is about how decisions get made and how they're implemented. Simple as that, really. Good governance adds layers onto that. Key principles. Think transparency, making processes open. Accountability, making sure those in charge are responsible.
Okay.
Participation is crucial too, getting citizens involved. Then you've got the rule of law, effectiveness, actually getting things done, and equity, which is about fairness for everyone.
Got it. That provides a solid foundation.
Right.
So where does the electronic part fit into this? What's e-governance trying to achieve?
Right. The E is all about using ICT information and communication technology within those governance processes.
Okay.
The main goals are usually to make government operations more efficient, increase that transparency we just talked about, cut down on corruption, and importantly, make it easier for people to participate, using digital tools, basically.
And this isn't exactly new, is it? It feels like e-governance has been, well, evolving for a while.
Oh, absolutely. It's changed dramatically. Back in the day, maybe late 20th century, it was mostly about just automating internal stuff, using computers for records, things like that.
Internal focus first.
Yeah. Then the internet really took off in the mid-90s, and government started putting up basics websites, information out.
Like online brochures?
Kind of, yeah. Then the 2000s brought more interaction, online forms, maybe paying some bills online, and now we're seeing things like mobile apps, cloud services, trying to offer really personalized services. It's a big leap.
So why is this push so significant? What are the really big benefits we're aiming for with all this?
Well, the potential upsides are pretty substantial. Improving essential services is a big one. Healthcare, education, utilities, making them easier to access.
Okay.
Then there's transparency again. Easier access to information is a check on power, potentially reducing corruption.
Right.
It can also empower citizens, giving them more ways to engage. And down the line, you're looking at potential cost savings, less red tape, maybe even boosting the economy through digital skills and infrastructure.
Okay, so those are the hopes.
Yeah.
Are there typical phases or stages governments tend to go through as they adopt this?
Yeah, there's a fairly common kind of progression. It often starts with just that basic web presence, putting information out. Stage 1.
Information dissemination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then comes interaction, allowing some two-way flow, like email contacts or feedback forms.
Okay, a bit more engagement.
Then transaction, this is where you can actually do things online, pay taxes, apply for permits, that sort of stuff.
Real services online.
Right. After that, you get to transformation, which is deeper. It's about actually redesigning government processes around the technology, making them truly citizen-focused.
A fundamental shift.
Yeah. And the ultimate goal, maybe the final stage, is what you might call citizen-centric governance, really collaborative, highly participatory, where the citizen's input is central.
Right. This is where it gets really practical. India's been working on this for some time. What are we seeing in terms of actual prospects, successes maybe, and crucially, what are the roadblocks?
Okay, prospects first. We've definitely seen improvements in public service access. Things like getting birth certificates, filing taxes, checking land records. Many of these are online now in various places. That saves time, reduces hassle.
Convenience factor.
Big time. And there's a push for more transparency and accountability systems like the public grievance redressal system let you track complaints, which is a positive step.
Holding the system accountable.
Trying to, yes. And initiatives like Digital India aim to boost overall efficiency, cut paperwork, and, really importantly, tackle the digital divide by improving tech access and literacy.
But you mentioned roadblocks. It's clearly not all smooth sailing. What are the big challenges India is grappling with?
Definitely not smooth sailing everywhere. The digital divide is still a huge issue. Access to reliable internet, having the right devices, it's just not there for many people, especially in rural areas.
Access is key.
Absolutely. Then there's cybersecurity. Government databases hold so much sensitive citizen data. Protecting that is critical, and it's a constant battle.
A huge vulnerability.
It can be. Digital literacy is another hurdle. A lot of people, particularly older citizens or those in rural communities, might not have the skills to use these online services effectively, even if they have access.
The skills gap.
Precisely. And finally, interoperability. This is a big technical one. Different government departments often have their own systems that don't talk to each other easily.
Silos.
Exactly. Silos. Makes it really hard to provide that seamless, integrated service experience citizens expect.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned data earlier, and it seems like managing and using data effectively is, well, fundamental to all of this working well. This brings us to data warehousing and data mining.
Absolutely central. Think of data warehousing as creating this big, organized central library for government data. It pulls information from all sorts of different government sources into one place.
A single source of truth, ideally.
Ideally, yes. Makes it much easier to query, to analyze, and data mining is the process of digging into that library, that warehouse, to find hidden patterns, connections, trends you wouldn't otherwise see.
Finding the insights.
Exactly, to predict things, optimize how things run, make better informed decisions based on evidence, not just guesswork.
Okay, so how does this actually play out? Where are data warehousing and mining making a real difference on the ground?
The impact is potentially huge. Better decision-making, for starters. Policymakers can look at consolidated data, see trends, understand problems better.
Evidence-based policy.
That's the goal. It can also boost transparency. Analyzing data might help spot irregularities or even potential corruption.
Interesting.
Optimizing public services is another big one. You can forecast demand for, say, healthcare services, allocate resources more effectively, and it allows for more citizen-centric services because you can analyze data to understand what people actually need or think.
Tailoring services.
To some extent, yes. And finally, security and risk management. Analyzing data patterns can help identify potential threats or vulnerabilities.
You mentioned national data warehouses. The census data example in your notes seems like a prime case.
Yeah, census data is a classic example. It's this incredibly rich nationwide data set. Demographics, social indicators, economic activity.
A snapshot of the nation.
Pretty much. And it's fundamental for planning everything from welfare programs and infrastructure projects to just understanding population trends for the future.
And your sources pointed out it goes way beyond just population data, right?
Yep.
Agriculture, rural development.
Oh, yes. In agriculture, you can bring together data on farmers, what crops they're growing, yields, weather patterns. Mining that data could help predict crop failures or make supply chains more efficient. You see organizations like the Indian National Agricultural Research System working on this.
Makes sense. And rural development.
Similar idea. Analyzing data on things like village infrastructure, employment levels, helps target development programs more effectively. Think about schemes like the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme data helps manage that.
Healthcare too, presumably.
Definitely. Combining disease stats, patient records anonymously, of course, can help predict outbreaks, manage hospital resources better. The National Health Portal is an example of a platform aiming for this.
Education, commerce.
Same principles apply. Education. Analyzing enrollment data. Student performance helps shape policy. Resources like the National Repository of Open Educational Resources support this. Commerce and trade. Analyzing import-export data helps refine trade strategies. The Directorate General of Foreign Trade deals with this kind of data.
This sounds incredibly powerful, but I imagine setting up these systems, these warehouses and mining capabilities, is technically challenging. What are the key things you have to get right in the design?
Yeah, it's definitely not trivial. Several critical things. Data integration is huge, just getting data from different sources, often in different formats, to play nicely together.
Splitting and standardizing.
Exactly. Scalability is crucial. These data sets just keep growing, so the system has to handle that. Security and privacy are paramount, non-negotiable. You're dealing with citizen data. You need strong encryption, access controls, and compliance with regulations.
It's like GDPR or India's equivalent.
Precisely. Real-time processing is increasingly important, too, for quick decisions. Then there's user access and visualization. The data's no good if officials can't easily understand and use it.
Making it usable.
Right. Interoperability, again, making sure different systems can connect. And, of course, cost. Building and maintaining these systems isn't cheap.
Okay, let's shift perspective slightly. Your notes talk about different models of digital governance. Can you break down the main approaches?
Sure. There are a few common ways to categorize them. The simplest is probably the broadcasting model. That's just one-way information flow. Government puts out information, think public service announcements on social media. Very much so. The criticism is it lacks real engagement. Then you have the wider dissemination model, which is similar but uses lots of different channels, TV, radio, websites, apps, to get the message out as broadly as possible, like health alerts during an epidemic.
Broader reach, still one way mostly.
Mostly, yes. Then things get more interactive with the critical flow model. This one emphasizes two-way communication, feedback loops, citizen opinions gathered through surveys, for example, actually feeding back into policy decisions.
Genuine interaction.
That's the aim. And finally, there's the comparative analysis model. This is more about looking at how different regions or countries handle governance processes, say e-voting systems, to find best practices and maybe adopt them.
Learning from others.
Exactly.
Well, how does India's approach fit into these models? Is it primarily one or a mix?
It's definitely a mix, and it's evolving. You see a lot of broadcasting and wider dissemination, government websites, the MyGov platform, social media pushes. But there are clear moves towards critical flow, too. The grievance redressal systems we mentioned are an example of trying to create that feedback loop.
Getting citizen input.
Right. And India is certainly looking outwards, doing comparative analysis, especially as it refines its digital strategy. So elements of all of them are present.
Now, a term that pops up a lot in the sources is G2C2G. Can you decode that for us? And how has e-governance evolved towards this idea?
Right, G2C2G. It stands for Government to Citizen, G2C, which is the service delivery part. But crucially, it also includes citizen to government, C2G, the feedback, the participation. And the other key part is government to government, G2G.
Ah, internal communications.
Exactly. Recognizing that delivering seamless services to citizens often requires different government departments and agencies to coordinate and share information effectively behind the scenes.
Breaking down those silos we talked about.
Precisely. The evolution has gone from early days of just digitizing records, then moving to process re-engineering for online transactions like tax payments, then a big push for integration and interoperability to connect those G2G dots.
Connecting the back end.
Yes. And now we're in what people call digital transformation, leveraging real-time data, AI, advanced analytics, all supporting this more holistic G2C2G view.
So tying this back to our earlier point,
Yeah.
how do these different models, including G2C2G, help achieve that good governance ideal? Transparency, accountability, participation.
They contribute in different ways. Top-down models like broadcasting can be efficient for getting information out consistently. That supports transparency in a way.
Okay.
Bottom-up approaches, the C2G part, are vital for participation and making sure services actually meet citizen needs. That links to responsiveness and equity.
And the G2G part.
That's crucial for effectiveness and efficiency. If government agencies can work together smoothly, services get delivered better and faster. So by improving access, transparency, and engagement, these models are essentially tools to achieve those core principles of good governance.
But for any of this technology and these models to actually work on the ground, society needs a certain level of e-readiness, right? What does that term encompass?
Exactly. E-readiness is critical. It's basically a measure of how prepared a country or community is to participate in and benefit from e-governance.
Preparedness.
Yes. It covers several key things. Infrastructure is a big one. Do people have access to reliable internet, affordable devices?
A digital divide issue again.
Yes. Then there's the institutional framework. Are the laws and regulations in place to support digital transactions, protect data, ensure security?
Legal foundations.
Crucial. And finally, human capital. Do citizens have the skills, the digital literacy to use the services? And equally important, do government employees have the training and capacity to deliver and manage these digital systems effectively?
All right, your notes break down that infrastructure readiness, further data systems, legal, institutional, human, and technological. Can we quickly touch on the key aspect of each for e-readiness?
Sure. For data systems, it's about security and privacy being built in encryption, access controls. It's about interoperability, using common standards so data can flow, and data availability, making sure the right data is accessible when needed, often in real time.
Okay, data foundations, legal,
Legal preparedness means having solid cybersecurity laws, strong data protection and privacy rules, and clear legislation that recognizes and governs electronic transactions and signatures.
Got it. Institutional.
That requires strong leadership commitment from the top. It needs good coordination between different government agencies and significant investment in training and capacity building for the public sector workforce.
Equipping the government itself.
Absolutely. Human infrastructure is about tackling digital literacy for citizens through programs and campaigns. It also means specific training for government staff on the new systems and just general public awareness to encourage uptake.
And finally, technological.
This is the nuts and bolts. Reliable network infrastructure, good broadband, mobile connectivity, scalable and secure software systems for the services themselves, and robust IT maintenance and upgrade plans to keep everything running smoothly.
It's a huge ecosystem. Now, India has obviously launched many specific e-governance initiatives. Can you highlight some of the major ones?
Yes, there are quite a few significant ones. Digital India is probably the best-known overarching program. Its goal is massive, improving online infrastructure and digital literacy right across the country.
The flagship program.
Definitely. Before that, the National E-Governance Plan, or NEGP, was launched. Its aim was to make basically all government services available electronically. A key part of NEGP was setting up common service centers, CSCs.
CSCs.
Yeah, kiosks or centers, often in rural or underserved areas where people can get help accessing online services, trying to bridge that access gap.
Assisted access.
Exactly. Then at the state level, you have state e-governance mission teams, or SIMTs, that drive planning and implementation locally.
State-level ownership.
Right. Projects like eDistrict focus specifically on delivering common citizen services online. Things like certificates, licenses, pension queries.
Core local services.
And behind much of the technical infrastructure is the National Informatics Center, the NIC. They've been pivotal. They run the government network, NICNET, manage data centers, develop software, provide training. A huge role.
The technical backbone.
Very much so.
You also mentioned a citizen database. Why is that considered so important?
Well, having a comprehensive, accurate citizen database is seen as foundational for truly efficient and targeted service delivery.
How so?
It allows the government to identify beneficiaries for welfare schemes much more accurately, reducing leakage and fraud. It helps in planning targeted interventions for human development, focusing on specific needs in poverty, health, education, employment.
Better targeting.
Yes. The potential benefits are more efficient resource use, better policy planning based on actual data, and more transparency in who receives government support.
And things like GIS systems and NICNET, they sound like enabling technologies for many other initiatives.
Absolutely. GIS, geographic information systems, are incredibly powerful for planning. Integrating map data with other data helps enormously in urban planning, managing disasters, tracking environmental changes.
Visualizing data spatially.
Exactly. And NICNET, as we said, is the secure communication network connecting government offices across the country. It's essential for G2G communication, secure data transfer, accessing central databases, and supporting all those GDC online services.
Okay, and then there are even more specific initiatives mentioned, like Smart Nagarpalika, Ekal Seva Kendra.
Yeah.
Aadhaar is obviously huge. Isavida Bhulekh, can you briefly outline what these are about?
Sure. Smart Nagarpalika is about computerizing urban local bodies' municipalities, improving things like property tax collection, managing water supply, digitizing land records within cities, handling citizen grievances online.
Modernizing city governance.
Right. Ekal Seva Kendras are like self-service kiosks, often in rural areas, providing assisted access to various e-governance services, helping people fill forms, make payments online.
Another access point.
Yes. Aadhaar, of course, is the massive biometric ID system. It provides a unique digital identity for residents. Its significance is huge, underpinning welfare delivery, financial inclusion, KYC processes, digital authentication.
Foundational ID.
Truly. Isavida aims to be a unified platform for accessing multiple online services, integrating payment gateways, issuing certificates online, trying to create a single window.
Simplifying access.
That's the idea. And Bhulekh is specifically focused on digitizing land records, making ownership records transparent, accessible online, which is crucial for reducing disputes and improving land management.
Wow, that's a lot of ground we've covered.
Yeah.
It's really been a deep dive into digital governance in India. As we wrap up, what are the absolute key takeaways you think our listeners should hold on to?
I think the main point is that digital governance in India holds immense promise. It really could transform how citizens interact with the state, making things more efficient, transparent, convenient.
The potential is there.
Absolutely. And initiatives like Digital India and NIGP have laid some really important groundwork, a big but significant challenges remain.
Right.
Bridging that digital divide in terms of access and skills is paramount. Cybersecurity is a massive ongoing concern. Fostering widespread digital literacy is essential.
Still work to do.
Definitely. And the way forward really seems to depend on the smart, strategic use of data warehousing, mining, and continuing to evolve towards those more integrated, citizen-centric models like the G2C2G approach.
Wow.
That's crucial for making real progress.
A complex but important journey. And on that note, maybe a final thought for you, our listeners, to ponder. With all this data being generated, vast amounts of it, what ethical frameworks and citizen protections really need to be locked down? How do we ensure this data is used responsibly for everyone's benefit without compromising privacy or worse, creating new kinds of inequality? And what role should individual citizens like you play in actually shaping how digital governance evolves in India? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.